Hi guys, and welcome back to SwitchUp. Thanks to Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus, which just came out on the Switch, they've sponsored this episode. Man, I've just seen the one of those comments. Why do you always call these videos huge? Some of them aren't huge. I'm like, it's the name of a series. Come on, it's okay. Plus, these are the most these games have ever been reduced, so in a way, that's quite a huge saving. I'm just like trolling people like this, these little comment keyboard warriors, my goodness. Hi guys, welcome back to SwitchUp. I hope most of you enjoyed the content. Today we're going to look at some huge savings, and do be sure to check out that top comment for the winner of the free game from last week. The guys over at Rise Race the Future have just patched up their title and it runs at a beautiful 60 FPS now, so they've given us 4 copies to give to you. If you want to win a copy of a game for the next week's sales video, all you have to do is let me know the exact moment you realise that computer games were never going to leave your life. Tough one this week, give it a bash. And then at the end of the video, what we'll do is we will look at a couple of games that you should avoid, like the absolute plague, which has proven a bloody difficult thing to do in 2020. I've also included a slightly new section this week, so stick around at the end of the 10 suggestions to see a few bonus ones. What's on sale this week? Let's find out. First up then, we've got a bit of a double whammy for you, and I know it's one that Glen would approve of. It's Konami's Castlevania Anniversary Collection, but also the Contra Collection. Both of these are only £3 or £3.99, so £4. Pick up both of them for £8. That's an absolute bargain. They clock in at around about 1.4 gigs for the Castlevania and around about a gig for the Contra Anniversary Collection, which also has offline multiplayer for 1 or 2 players. You're looking at some crazy value here really, with a combined length of over 50 hours of gameplay, and the Castlevania pack alone having Castlevania 1, 2, 3, Super Castlevania, The Adventure, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, Bloodlines, Kid Dracula, and the History of Castlevania book. Whereas the Contra, you got Contra Arcade, Super Contra, Contra, the American and Japanese versions, and 5 other titles. I mean, if you're into these retro games and you really want to get them, then now is absolutely the time, as it's the cheapest they've ever been. These are absolute timeless classics. Blasphemous is a title which I was so interested in when I saw it, but there are a few quirks to the game and it's not perfect, but it is very good, and at this price it's well worth having a look at. It's currently again seeing its lowest ever price, taking it down to about £10, and it's very much a skill based action platformer that has a lot of hack and slash elements, but woven through the whole thing is a very almost sinister religious undertone where you play as the pertinent one, the sole survivor of the massacre of the Silent Sorrow, and they're trapped in this endless cycle of death and rebirth, and obviously they save the world. I love the art direction here, I think it's fantastic. There is a touch of repetition and some strange design choices, and I would say at this price it's definitely one to pick up. The sale goes on until the 26th of July. A big thanks to Casado Games for sponsoring this video with their new game Mechanicus, which is from the Warhammer 40,000 series. This is a turn-based strategy game and it was critically acclaimed back on PC, where it has the highest user-rated score of any of the Warhammer series. Rock Paper Shotgun listed the PC version in its best strategy games of all time, and I can tell you from the early playthrough that I've done for my review that this one is most interesting. In this one, you take control of the armies of the Imperium, the Adeptus Mechanicus, whatever that is, as Magus Dominus Faustinius. They really don't make these names easy. Either way, it's an isometric top-down strategy title, similar to the other games released, but they tweaked and refined quite a few of the mechanics. This time around, your decisions do have a little bit more of an impact on the story with 3 alternate endings. Keep an eye out for our review of this one early next week, and once again, a big thanks to those guys for sponsoring this video. All the links will be down in the description. I reviewed my time at Portia way back when it came out and it had the 5-minute long load times, which were ridiculous. It's seen a few patches since then and those load times have come down. The initial load, so the one when you first start the game, is still not great. It's not great at all, but it's much improved from launch. I'll be covering this one again in our All Patched Up series on the next episode, so we can really go into detail about how it runs. But I would say at £8, 66% off and the lowest price ever, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Now you create your character, yes, you get your little farmhouse, yes, yes, you can gradually improve it, but the town of Portia has got a lot of charm with each of the different characters within it, almost living out their own lives, and you can go and get missions and quests from them. And there's a whole schedule for the town, so there'll be certain events that take place on specific days, celebrations that are happening, and you almost go spelunking. You go into these like instances that are kind of like treasure hunts, where you can actually dig through the environment to find special and unique items, which can then be appraised back in town and eventually go towards helping on your farm and helping you create new items. It is a very good game, there's no doubt about it. It's just a shame about a few little performance issues that marred it at launch, and when I say little I mean massive, maybe even huge. This sale goes on until the 26th. This is a great time to potentially pick up God Eater, as it's the lowest it's ever been. Currently 67% off, taking it down to about 16 quid, but you've not got a great deal of time until this sale ends. I believe it ends on the 21st of July. If you're not familiar with it, think something along the lines of Monster Hunter, but you can play with far more players online. It can be 1 to 8 player fighting against these creatures. The battling as well is much faster, I would say, than the Monster Hunter we've got on the Switch, as you wield your God Arc, which is a weapon that you can transform to do either slashing or shooting, and use one of the 8 different melee classes to get there, which is quite similar to Monster Hunter in many ways. I do like that weapon mechanic though, where it can like convert it into a shield, and you're much more nimble here. It's a very cool game, and I'd say if you've got the time and perhaps a very small backlog, this would be one to spend some hours in. You're looking at around about 30 to maybe 60 hours to do everything, and 14.8 gigs to download. Both of the Ukulele titles are reduced down to their lowest ever, which is great, and it represents crazy value really. The first Ukulele title is about 11 quid, and the second one 12 quid, so I mean you can pick them both up for the price of Ukulele and the Impossible Lair at full price, so a bit of a bargain really. These go on till the 26th of July and feature the 2 famous characters Yuka and Lele in 3D platforming. Now the second one was nice because they actually worked on trying to make a few unique aspects of it, such as switching to a side view during certain stages and then having a overworld area that was more 3D. Glen thoroughly enjoyed it. His review will be down in the description if you want to check out a little bit more about it, and by all accounts it's quite a difficult title. It's quite a tough game, and it has a few cool twists like alternate versions of levels. I'm not going to say I wasn't a touch disappointed it didn't feature local co-op though. I feel like you got Ukulele, like why not have it so that you can play as both players with 2 pals? It just didn't really make sense to me. I guess that's the one missed trick. Other than that, a lovely little adventure that, as I say, ends on the 26th. Over in America, they've got the sale on the Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 titles. They're 60% off each, so you can pick them both up for the price of less than one. That sale ends on the 31st, and if you've not played them, they're excellent games, really good, and to be honest, my favourite aspect of them wasn't actually the main story campaigns, which are decent and can be played through with 1 or 2 players in co-op. It was the raid mode. This was really cool. It allowed you and a friend to go on instance runs almost, where you create your own character, you can build up your gear, you earn points and XP from getting those headshots and playing really well, and then you can buy new items. It was a whole separate thing, and Glen and I spent a lot of time just bashing through that. It was really a good time. As you'd hope, there's gyroscopic aiming here for those that enjoy their headshots. Consideration would be the download size. You're looking at around about 20 gigs for Revelations 2, with the first one coming in at a much smaller 12 gigs. Just be aware though that the first game didn't have offline co-op play, so if that's a consideration then, you know, just bear it in mind. Still, you've got a combined over 50 hours for completionists on the 2 titles, so very good deal indeed. A really nice sale is the drop we've currently got on the Steamworld series. You've got Steamworld 1, 2 and Steamworld Heist. The Steamworld Quest is on sale as well. I'm not gonna lie, I know Glen and lots of people really enjoyed that one. That didn't really click with me quite as much as these 3, and you're looking at 75% off for Heist, 60% off for Dig 2, and 75% off for the first game. Like that, I mean, you could pick up all 3 of them for around about $16, which is what, like 12 quid? That is an absolute steal. While not the longest games, Steamworld Dig 1 and 2 are probably some of the best Metroidvanias on any platform. They're great games, and being a big XCOM fan, I really enjoyed what they did with Steamworld Heist, where you're allowed to manually aim your weapons and you could pull off these crazy bullet bouncing effects where you get enemy kills from the most insane positions. It also includes stuff that was previously only available in DLC, which is nice, and has a new game plus and over 20 hours of play. So it's just, I mean, all 3 of those for 12 quid. It's mad. And unfortunately, you might have to just bolster that backlog a touch. If you can get around to actually playing any of these, my word, you'll have an absolute blast. Now, Heist is 261 megabytes. I mean, that's really good, isn't it? Dig 2 is 270 megs, and I don't know what the first one is. I've lost my page with all the information, but I'd guess probably around about the same, so you could get all 3 games for under £1 on your Switch. These sales go all the way until the 1st of August, so you've got a bit of time. Maybe add them to your watch list if you're not entirely sure. Next up then, we've got a real steal, and it's Not Tonight Take Back Control Edition, which is 90% off, taking it down to, I think, $2.50. I'm not going to lie, when this launched, it was around about the Brexit time. This has a lot of that kind of rhetoric within it, and it just put me off. It put me off. It felt like a cash-in. So I'm not going to lie, I kind of didn't play this one for a long time. I was like, nah, I'm not interested at all. And then I played it, and it's basically Papers, Please, if you ever played that game. It's absolutely frantic at times. It's a brilliant game, really well done. I don't know, you know, maybe just keep politics out of it. And actually, there's far less of it in here than the title and everything gave me cause to believe. You play as a bouncer in a lot of the most dingy London clubs, and it's actually got a far deeper storyline than you think. It also includes an entire extra chapter called Not Tonight, One Love, which follows directly on from the main storyline and sees the main character leaving Britain and going to work in France. Zut alors. Sorry, that was awful. As French people just unsubscribed. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's a role-playing / simulation / adventure / strategy / time management game. Goodness me. / feel loads of pressure and you have your head almost explode as you try and juggle so many plates. Very good game though. Well done. This one clocks in at £1, and this sale goes on until the 4th of August. One of my favourite games on the Switch is The Tourist from Shinen Multimedia, who brought us Fast RMX. Now, they crammed this great little gem into a crazy small download size. It was like 240 megs, something like that, and it looks beautiful. To try and give you some idea of how the game functions, it's an isometric adventure title whereby you visit a load of different islands. You can move freely between them, and sometimes you'll have fetch quest type things, but other times it will be very off the wall, the solution to whatever the mystery is. There are these temples on the different islands that you go into, and there are puzzle platforming sections and other mysteries to unfold, but there are also some brutal boss fights that require a little bit of lateral thinking to overcome. It's just a very chilled out game. It really reminded me of Little Big Adventure, if you ever played those back in the day. It's worth mentioning that it's a short experience. You're looking at only around about 6 hours to complete it, and you know what, sometimes isn't that the best way. Every island has a unique feel to it. It's got a quirkiness about it that's difficult to put your finger on, but yeah, Little Big Adventure, think about that, and that might, hopefully, if you're old like me, give you some idea of how this one plays out. Okay, last of the spotlight mentions then before we move on to the ones that got away and then the games you should avoid like the plague. We've got Dragon's Dogma. Now, I know we've mentioned this so much, but it tends to go on sale in different regions at different times and different prices, and I said that when it came up in the US at the lowest it's ever been, then it would get another mention, and here it is. Again, it's an action RPG with some of the best combat in any game since or before, including Skyrim. You can mount the back of giant creatures, stab them in the head. It's just really epic, and it has this whole other aspect where you create pawns. Those would be custom AI teammates that look however you want them to look, and then you can almost trade these online. Well, you can't trade them. Other players can download and use your pawn however they see fit, and they increase their ranking and ratings, and then when you log on it'll be like, Isha Gaming has used your pawn Glen for her only oh no. I'm sorry, Irene, that sounds terrible. It's not as terrible as it sounds, as you know. You enjoyed your Glen porn for quite a while. Let's move on swiftly. It's 30% off, which is the lowest it's been before, and it's $14, which is a bit of a steal. This sale ends on the 5th of August. Okay, before we go on to the games you should avoid like the plague, we've got our new featurette, which is just the ones that got away, really. It's the titles that I wanted to talk about because they're amazing. You should definitely buy them, but, you know, I didn't mention them in much detail. We've got the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which is 50% off if you've got kids, or if you are a big kid like me, well worth buying. Brilliant. Half price. If you're a shmup fan that shoot 'em up, then Raiden 5 is an excellent example. It's 70% off, which is its lowest ever. I know there aren't many of us left, but point and click adventure fans unite. The Inner Worlds is currently 75% off, taking it down to $3. Well worth picking up. Great little fun game. And finally, Dogma, which is 80% off, taking it down to 99 cents. It's essentially a Game Boy game, so if you want to just go and relive your past, it looks lovely this, I enjoy it. It's pretty brutal at times, a touch flawed, but I enjoy it, I like the music, I think it's worth adding to your ever-growing backlog. Okay, so it's that time that I absolutely love each and every week, because I get to just pan some games for being bad. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. But here are some games that you should avoid, like the newly announced sequel to Race with Ryan. Ooh, there isn't one, but yeah, no. First up then, we've got V-Rally 4. Now look, don't get me wrong, it's not a terrible game. The game's okay, and look, if you absolutely need some rally action, don't get this, get the other one. But I was expecting such good things from the V-Rally franchise. I used to love it back in the day, and this met none of my expectations. It ran poorly, it looked bad, and it just wasn't that great, unfortunately. Now at this price, you know, I would forgive you if you picked it up, but it's not my cup of tea. We need dirt. We need to get some dirt on the Switch. Maybe release, you know, I'd go for the original Dirt, or even the original Colin McRae. I would happily have a remaster of those. There are other better rally games as well, like Rush Rally on the Switch. So yeah, I would say avoid this one. It's not the best. And then we've got Tennis World Tour, which has dropped itself to 80% off, and it's got a rather forlorn Roger Federer on the front cover. It's only $6. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you what could go wrong. It's terrible. It's just not a good game at all. It's poor. There's another tennis game called AO Tennis 2, which actually Brandon reviewed for us, but we didn't have time to get the review out. By all accounts, he thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not perfect, it wasn't without its flaws, but it's much better than this piece of tennis. Now, this sale only goes on till the 21st of July, but you might be sat around thinking, oh, I miss Wimbledon. You remember Tim Henman? He was... He was good. I used to sit on his hill. I know it was Murray Mound, wasn't it? Anyway, I digress. Right, don't buy it. Rubbish. Look out for AO Tennis 2 when it goes on sale, which it has been recently. Okay, that's it for this week. If you want to enter the free game competition for next week's video, then just, yeah, let me know what was the moment where you decided, well, you probably didn't decide, you're probably completely hooked. What was maybe the game or the moment that got you most into gaming? I think we're going to probably hear a lot of GoldenEye down in the comments, but I'm aware that not everyone is as ancient as me, so your initial gaming moment might be very different. Congrats to the winner of the free game. Have a look in the top comment, there you are. And as always, a big thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys. See ya!